Today, of course, we are going to be going over cyber insurance. We want you to keep your peace of mind no matter where you are working from and no matter who you're working with. So the reason why we want to talk about cyber insurance is because as we are getting into the thick of the pandemic here, it's been a year, if you can believe it, since a lot of us have been mandated to work from home. We are feeling foggy. Some of us are having a hard time concentrating. Maybe we're feeling a little impatient or stressed, and we're losing our train of thought. And this could be attributed to COVID fatigue. And this, again, contributes to human error, which accounts for 95% of security breaches within our organizations that we're seeing. So high number of just, a little human error, just one bad click, just not, thinking through what you're doing. And who can blame us? We're working from home, we're in the office, we're trying to get back to our normal lives, and we can't always do that. So we want to make sure that we do protect our data and our assets. So I'd like you to say hello to our special guest today, Jack Ishak. Jack, thanks so much for being with us today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing here today?
Sure thing. Thanks again, everyone, for being on today, and thanks for having me. My name is Jack Ishak. Like Elizabeth just said, I work with Allpoint Insurance, and I'm a commercial lines insurance broker, working with businesses providing general liability, workers' compensation, commercial auto, umbrella, etc. And as of the last few years, cyber has become a very prevalent insurance policy that we highly recommend to most of our clients, regardless of the industry that they're in. So I just wanted to talk a little more about that today so people understand the importance of it. That's all.
Great. And just to highlight, Jack is not with any one specific insurance agency or provider. He's just a broker. So he's here for, whoever you'd like to kind of partner up with, he's your guy. He has access to a plethora of providers and can definitely, hook you up with whoever you've been researching. We can definitely talk more about that. We'll get into how to pick a provider in just a moment, but I want to kind of give you a roadmap for how we're going to be tackling the subject of cyber insurance today. First, we will define what exactly cyber insurance is. And then, of course, along with that, we'll go over coverage. Of course, what is covered, what's not covered, some key features that you should be looking for in a provider. Also, we'll be talking about the claims process a little bit so you know what that looks like. And then we'll, of course, get into choosing a provider and kind of what you should be looking for in a provider when you're finding the right fit for you. I know that we have a lot of partners with kind of different situations, whether it's their work environment or how they're handling their data. So choosing a provider, we'll definitely go over that as well. So cyber insurance, what exactly is it? Jack will definitely get into the more detailed aspects of cyber insurance, but I'm just going to give you a quick rundown here about what cyber insurance really is. So you have cyber insurance and it protects you from many things, but you want to think about liability and where the liability actually lies. You have your internal employees, of course, that's that human error, kind of just internal mistakes or something that's happening inside. But then you also have to think about externally what's going on in the few cases where an external kind of collaboration or threat happens to your network and causes a breach. You want to think about where the liability lies when you're talking about cyber insurance. And of course, there is this cyber event, right? So you have who causes the event, and then you have the actual event that happens, looking into your confidential data here, and then you have provided coverage. So these are some things that you want to look for, just liability, some intellectual property rights, just what's covered. You want to make sure that it applies to you. When you're choosing a provider, you want to make sure that what you have is going to be protected. So we will talk a little bit about that. But first, we want to kind of talk about this first party versus third party liability. And Jack, you will, if you can provide your expertise on this and kind of just talk us through what first party versus third party liability really means for our partners here.
So third party liability is your standard liability that you have on your general liability policy, for instance. Your claims from others against your insurance company, against your company. Your first party liability is the claim that really pertains to your company directly. Theft of your funds, your assets being compromised, anything that happens to your company directly. Now, of course, your cyber insurance policy will provide third liability, but in the grand scheme of things, third party liability claims in cyber probably no more than 4 to 5%. The lion's share of claims that occur in a cyber incident are first party, something that is a breach on your system and your funds.
Right. Thanks for clearing that up for us. So, when we are looking for providers and we're looking into the features and we see a lot of flashy language, a lot of, propaganda really, and we want to get to the meat of it. We want to know what coverage we should be looking for really. What are some key features that we should be looking for in a provider besides the first and third party liability?
So cyber insurance policy really consists of three main components. You have your incident response team, which is your incident response. Something happens, you want to make sure that the company has a very solid response team that can put together technical experts, expert negotiators if there's a ransomware situation, legal expenses taken care of with a legal team that knows privacy breach, and also vendors that can provide crisis management notifications for your clients that had their information stolen, or if they needed fraud monitoring, or anything that would really help with restoring your reputation. So it's an overall team that takes you from incident to mitigation. The second aspect of a good cyber insurance policy is your electronic theft of funds coverage, right? That's basically due to social engineering. So you'll have your email, someone sending an email purporting to be someone they're not, being able to funnel funds from your company. But, just think about that Nigerian prince scam, but it's been elaborated into something much more intricate now. And then having theft of your funds or theft of funds are in escrow that you're holding for others, if you're a law firm, mortgage company, etc. And just customer payment fraud in general. And then the last thing that you really want to have solid is business interruption coverage. So this applies to all your electronic assets, right? So if your business is down because your files have been encrypted, you can't operate and you're losing revenue. That's what it's going to reimburse you for. Or if you have reputational damage for, customers that no longer want to do business with you, or future customers that won't do business with you because of the incident, your business interruption will help reimburse you and pay for that extra expense that you have to pay your employees to try to mitigate the whole situation. So not only are they taking you from the beginning to end, they're also helping you getting reimbursed so that your business can be made whole again. So they're basically project managing an incident with a solid response team, solid coverage, and reimbursement so that you can go back to business as usual.
And so, of course, there are things that are not going to be covered under some cyber insurance policies. Do you mind telling us a little bit about that?
Sure. It's a very broad language coverage, so it covers a lot. But certain things it doesn't cover: tangible assets. So your property, right? Your business interruption coverage or your property coverage will cover that. Your cyber will not. So it's only for your electronic assets, digital assets, intangible. So tangible, not covered. Also not covered is any prior acts knowledge. So, but this goes for any insurance policy in general. If you knew of a claim prior to the inception of a policy and then file it, that's not going to be covered because it's prior to the effective date of said policy. And last but not least, this is not a replacement of your errors and omissions policy. So a lot of companies have their services that they provide and they have professional liability, i.e. errors and omissions. This is not a replacement of that policy. This is for cyber events. Anyone that basically is using an email or has digital assets or uses the cloud in general, any business in general is going to need a cyber insurance, but it's not an E&O policy. So do not get the two mixed up.
Great. Thanks for walking us through that. So the next thing that I want you to kind of walk us through here is what the claims process is like with cyber. It's probably not too different than kind of any other insurance, but just so that we know kind of what support we get from our cyber providers, could you walk us through what that claims process kind of looks like and what we should do definitely once we are with a partner and we do experience a cyber event?
Sure. So first and foremost, do not. It's important to notify your insurance as soon as possible, right? But don't try to figure out yourself. Don't try to call someone that you think might help you resolve the situation. It's critical that you notify your insurance carrier and FA, of course, ASAP, so that they can start putting together a response team once you provided the incident information, letting them know what's happened, what's been breached, and what you know so far. Even if you're not sure something's happened, but you think it might, call them anyways. So as soon as the incident response team has been assembled, right, you have your tech experts, your legal experts, your forensics going through, to resolve this whole situation. The mitigation begins. They assign a crisis management team if one is needed. They'll put together the technical experts to look at your system, what was breached, what was not, and then look at what reimbursement needs to be done. And if there's a ransomware situation, they'll help negotiate that to see what needs to be paid out and whatnot. So it's the call, assembly of the response team, all the forensics, and then the resolution, and then back to, and then at the end, you have your recovery. Now, whether that recovery is paying out a ransomware or just having everything resolved internally, and then, taking it from there with their with the vendors so you can notify all of your clients, it's going to go from A to Z. Like I said in the beginning, it's going to be project managed from beginning to end.
Great. That's definitely comforting for our partners. If you do experience a cyber attack or some kind of ransomware malware attack, definitely having as many people on your side is crucial to you. So I just want to take a closer look for our partners now at what it would look like for them, and maybe an example of kind of a process, a claims process. So suppose you walk into work and you see that your CRM system is down, or your files are encrypted. You're definitely going to want to, again, notify your cyber carrier ASAP, and FA. You definitely want to let us know as well. We will do everything that we can to kind of aid and assist in that process for you. And we want to be part of that incident response team. We want to be part of the solution really here, and we will do everything that we can to kind of aid in that process. But again, with that cyber insurance carrier, with whoever you choose, you do have access to that carrier's 24/7 experts, legal or negotiators, things like that, just things that are out of FA's reach. We definitely want you to have everybody that you can on your side. And then we will help and aid you in whatever your carrier advises the best way to proceed. But I just want to kind of mention here that FA can provide some of these services for you, like forensics. It breaks our heart to see our partners spend any more money than they have to. So definitely any of those processes that we can kind of take off the plate and handle ourselves, we definitely want to do that. But again, there are just some things that we can't do. So anybody who you can bring on board and help you through that process, we want you to have access to. So that's just kind of the process from FA to our partners, what we would expect to happen with a cyber insurance provider. And an even deeper look in, we're going to ask Jack if he can provide us some case studies in the areas that we talked about, specifically first, this issue of human error. And you went into it in the intro here, just what one click can cost, just this slight misjudgment or an error in judgment, one click, it can cost the company a lot of money and a lot of resources. If you want to kind of elaborate on that, Jack.
Okay, so human error is probably the main culprit of cyber incidents, right? It's, we're all working, we will make mistakes. So a good one that I can think of that for all intents and purposes is a construction firm, a client. So it's a project manager that whose responsibilities entail working with subcontractors, taking their invoices, sending them over to the finance department so that they can get paid, and then kind of move things along. So project manager one day receives an email from Microsoft stating that he needs to update his security details so that they can gain his security features for their 365 account. And in doing so, clicking on a link, not knowing it was malware, providing login credentials so that the cyber criminal now had access to the project manager's email. Now, the cyber criminal now is waiting for the perfect time, and one presented itself when one of the subcontractors sent the project manager an invoice for like $93,000, I think it was.
Oh my goodness.
Then had it forwarded to their, the cyber criminal's email.
Sure.
And once it was submitted to the finance department, sent a follow-up email saying the subs account details actually are outdated and needed to be updated to this new bank account. Finance department. Advice about it, thinking, well, this is coming from the PM, and he or she just sent it recently, so there should be no issue.
Sure.
Sends $93,000 into a fraudulent account. So now you have you have that situation. Obviously, the construction company is in just absolutely disarray because they're like, what are we going to do now?
Sure.
Cover that. So these things do happen. This is a very common scenario where people just think they're getting, like something happened recently with Microsoft Exchange. I don't have the details on it, but there has been a lot of I'm sure you can talk about it on more and elaborate on it at another setting. But this is a common situation that occurs, and a lot of companies are dealing with it. We're looking about this year, I think we're projecting about $10 trillion dollars in cyber insurance claims. So this happens to small businesses, mid-sized businesses, and large businesses as well. So everyone's dealing with this.
Right. And just like we said before, everyone, just to reiterate, if you have digital assets, this is a potential for you. It just takes that one misjudgment. And as I said, this COVID fatigue, everybody's kind of just running on empty by 2 p.m. I know I feel like I need to refill my coffee cup just to stay alert. So, anybody can fall victim to this. Of course, we do our best here at F8 as well to help you guys stay secure and to kind of oversee your network, but some things just slip through the cracks, some things we just can't avoid. So again, great, Jack. That's a great example for our partners here to see how exactly cyber insurance can help them. And I'm glad to hear that situation was in fact aided by cyber insurance. But there's another kind of threat happening here, which is the rogue employee, or even a disgruntled employee. Everybody's on edge lately, but also volunteers, someone who may not appear to be an immediate threat, but volunteers and seasonal workers, people who seem to be with your mission, can actually pose a threat to your network since you are giving them access to your network. Can you speak a little bit about that for us?
Sure. So, the rogue employee situation is, most people will do the right thing, but you'll have your one-offs, people that just go in trying to either sabotage or steal your data for whatever reason. And, it's not always that nefarious, to be honest with you. So I'll get back to the rogue employee. It could be something as simple as someone losing a laptop while, going home in an Uber, and it gets stolen, and then you have company information there or client information that gets stolen, and they don't tell you because they're embarrassed. It happens, and this is a covered event. This is something that would be covered because it's something that rogue is more like irresponsible employee, but that is a situation that does occur. For the rogue employee situation where you have a disagreement with someone and they release information online that causes a data breach where all your files have been encrypted, or you have a ransomware situation where your business is down. Now, you might not know that was the root cause, but eventually your cyber incident response team will get to the root of it, and they will know. And meanwhile, while all this is being resolved, you will have that reimbursement. So these are covered claims that it's not it's not this crazy situation that may happen. These are situations that are recurring and relatively often. So it's something to think about. Human error is where it's at. Now, whether it be something you're doing intentionally or one of your employees doing it intentionally or someone's just doing, making a mistake, you want to make sure that that's covered.
That's exactly right, Jack. And that's exactly the message that we want to send to our partners today. And of course, we wouldn't leave you without some recommendations, just a few that Jack does work with and some that we have seen great information from Hiscox, CFC Underwritings, and Beasley. And we will provide you that information in a follow-up email, just some brochures to look through, to flip through, get your bearings, and just inform yourselves on what kind of coverage is available through cyber insurance. Again, this is really, a new thing in safety and best practices. It's really in its infancy, but we do want to bring you some information on it. More and more of you are asking about it, seeing if it's the time to make the move, and we always preach best practices here at F8. So definitely cyber insurance would be one of those things. Again, here at F8, we are looking out for you. We do our best to keep you secure, but we do, of course, want you to have access to the best kind of coverage and the best support should you find yourself in a cyber event where your files are encrypted, you are a victim of ransomware or malware attack. We do want to make sure that you have everything at the ready to avoid any kind of interruption in your business, any kind of losses for you guys. We want to make sure that you're covered and with a reputable provider. And so, of course, Jack's your guy. He's definitely someone that you can reach out to if this is something that you want to know more about. You can, of course, contact Effie if you need any kind of guidance or just comfort in making your decision. Of course, we're here for that, but Jack is really the one to reach out to if you are ready to make the move. Again, we will provide you with some brochures for those 3 providers that we just mentioned. But when you're ready to make a move, you can, of course, contact Jack. And maybe with your own research, you'll find another company that kind of fits the bill for you. You can definitely give Jack a ring or shoot him an email and just let him know that you're looking into a certain provider, and he can definitely kind of run through eligibility and cost with you. I know those are 2 big factors that we spoke about earlier, Jack, when we were kind of getting to know each other. Definitely eligibility and cost are things that he factors into the decision when kind of guiding you on who may be best for your organization. Okay. I think we did a pretty good job then, Jack. If we don't have any questions, everybody seems pretty good with the information that we give them. Oh, here we do have one question. Let's see. So I can assume that every insurance company are qualified. Hi Kim, do you mean are not qualified? Do you mean that certain carriers, certain companies are not for cyber? Not every insurance company.
Only insurance companies that offer cyber will offer, that are qualified to offer cyber, will offer cyber. So, you'll only work with the ones that really have a solid product.
And that's why we have Jack with us today. I'm glad that you got that question. Yes, so some providers. That's what the
question was, because otherwise I just answered something completely different.
Right. So again, some providers may provide cyber, some may not provide cyber. So if you do have any other kind of insurance, and thanks, this does bring up another point that we wanted to talk about. Maybe you have a provider and you don't have cyber with them. But maybe you want to bring it up to them and say, hey, I know that these are some features that I should have, and I'm looking to purchase, a plan. And if they don't live up to those standards, then maybe it's time to shop somewhere else. But at least you can make an informed decision. You can go in there kind of knowing your stuff and do what's best and get the best for your buck here. Jack would be able to look into it.
Absolutely.
He definitely will. He probably doesn't even have to look into it. He probably just knows everything at the top of his head. And that's exactly why we brought him in today. So if you do want to ask him any questions, please feel free. His email is open. But we definitely enjoyed having him with us today. It's been a blast, kind of getting this together for our partners today. I had a lot of fun. Definitely kind of outside the norm of our usual trainings. This is more just of an educational kind of training for you guys today. Once again, I'm really happy to see that there is a little bit of interest here for you. So if you do decide to take the final step here, definitely Jack Eshak at allpointinsurance.com. We have his email here, and the email will be in the follow-up email that I will send out. So you'll have all the information. Again, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you, Jack, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And we hope you all have a wonderful day. Hope you get outside and enjoy this nice weather that we're having, and that you all stay safe. And we look forward to speaking with you again soon. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye, everyone.